Hey, it's Mimi from heymimi.com, and in this video I'm going to talk to you about how to align your artwork on this Sizzix Rectangles die that has 4 rectangles. The only steel ruled die that I've found that comes close to a business card size. It's 3 3/8 inch wide instead of 3.5 inches wide like a regular business card. I've showed you how to cut it with the dedicated punch that I got off of eBay, and in this one I'm going to show you how to use this rectangles die. The thing I like about this is that it really does punch out in a size that is so close to a business card. You know, it's almost exactly a business card size. And you know the things I don't like about it is that, for one thing, there's 4 different rectangles on it, which makes it hard to align. I wish they would make a rectangles die like this, where it's just one rectangle in the middle. It's exactly a business card size, and that's clear on the back side so you can align it. It'd be wonderful if I could align it, put it through, and cut it perfectly. However, this is not a business card. This is not even close to business card size. This rectangle is number 2. Don't waste your money on that. And then this one is close to rectangle size, but it's not centered, it's not clear, and it's got 4 other rectangles on it. So it's a little bit challenging to align it and get a nice straight cut. It's after making many templates to try to align it perfectly. I'm going to show you how I figured out to cut this with pretty accurate results. I think the key to making a handcrafted business card, it's, you know, a fine line between looking handcrafted and just looking too homemade and cutesy. My thought on the subject is that if you're going to give someone a handcrafted card, my hope is that they'll say, gee, that's neat, not, sheesh, why don't you just order some business cards from Vistaprint? Which I have to say, after all of my experiments here, that I have found this is not going to save you any money. You're going to want to use some quality paper. You don't have to use sticker paper. There's several ways I'm going to tell you about to adhere it together. I like to use this and cut it down to 8.5 by 11. It's fairly affordable. There's 6 sheets for $10, and so you're going to get a lot of prints out of that, but you want to make sure that you do some practice sheets first until you're perfectly comfortable with how it's aligning. So it's not the cheapest way to go, I'll tell you that much. I'm using gorgeous scrapbook paper. I got it for $1 a sheet years ago, and it's a good way to use up your stash of paper that you... So what's my point? Okay, my point is that it's not cheap, and it is very labor intensive. But if you're in a field where that effort will be appreciated, then I'm going to show you how to do it. What I've done is laid out my artwork to fit into business card size. I cropped it to exactly 2 by 3.5 inches. And then I opened up a new Photoshop file and laid out some guides. I used the guide layout and drew lines, and then I went over them with the pencil tool in Photoshop so that these would print out, because these are going to be my cut lines. And I wanted more precision than just those little X's. So then I laid them out 6 to a page, which is a little bit of a waste of paper. You can fit 8 on here, but then you're not going to get full 3 by 4 inch square to line up onto here. So this is what I figured out, was that this is actually a 1/4 inch from the side here and 1/2 inch from the side here. And so what I did was made up some templates of 3 by 4. And you could make your template the exact shape of this, but I found it easier to cut things into 3 by 4, and then there'd be less waste. And it's exactly centered. This rectangle is exactly centered in this 3 by 4 space. So that's why I've done it this way. There may be a better way to do it. I'm just showing you how I did it, okay? If you have a better way, please tell us in the comments. If you have some cardstock that you love and you want to either rubber stamp or put this thick cardstock right through your printer and your printer will print onto that, then that's fine. And if you have a laser printer, even better. I'm using a inkjet printer, and for that reason I actually like the look of just black on craft paper. If you're going to try to print in color on your inkjet printer at home, unless you have like some really high-end printer, I don't think you're going to be happy with the results. You can do this and then bring this over to Staples, and for $1 a page they will print this out on a color laser printer. However, then you're paying $1 for 6 business cards, and plus whatever else you're going to use. So I want to say this isn't an economical way to do it. The economical way to do it is order business cards. However, I like to change my cards a lot, and I like to modify my card to the setting that I'm handing them out in. Then what I did was I found some heavy cardstock and I cut this beautiful paper into 3 by 4 inch pieces. And you can adhere this down in several ways. I adhered these just with a glue stick, a Yoo-hoo glue stick. I glued that down and I don't know if this was necessary, but I used a sprayer, which is used for screen printing, or you could get it at Michael's or any craft shop, and I rolled it down like that. This 3M spray mount work, it's called spray mount or spray adhesive, craft adhesive, and this is repositionable and it worked fine, but if you can find one that's not repositionable, I assume you're going to be better off with that. These Xyron machines, you just stick your paper through there and it comes out as a big sticker on the other end. You can do that, and if you want, you can even do the printed piece just onto a piece of cardstock and then cut it out and then glue that to the back side. Now you're probably thinking, well, how do I know it's going to be perfectly aligned? And I was thinking the same thing. And really it doesn't matter because you're not cutting to the edge. The only thing that matters is how this side cuts. This side, there's a whole lot of wiggle room because you're not cutting to the edge. You've got wiggle room on all sides. The only thing that matters is how the front is aligned. Unless you've got stripes or something. Stripes are going to be a problem. Okay, so now I'm going to cut this out and let's give it a test. I love this Fiskars. You can get this at Walmart for only about $10. And the thing I love about this is it has a wire here, so you can see with exact precision where it's going to cut. What I'm using is just a file folder. It's got to be pretty heavy. And so you may ask, well, why not just cut these all out separately? Because I don't feel like I could get a perfect alignment. If I was going to stick this down, cut these into business card size, and then stick them all together, I don't think I'm going to get a perfectly sharp edge. So I want to have it all assembled and then cut it out, because then you're going to have a perfect cut. And that's the reason why I am using this. Instead of, if it doesn't get too thick, you could cut it with a paper cutter, you could cut it with a craft punch if you had the perfect size, you could cut it with your Silhouette Cameo, but you can't cut it if it's really thick. And in my opinion, the heavy cardstock is going to be the hallmark of a decent business card. If you hand someone something flimsy, their first impression is not a good one. That's why I'm talking about doing it this way. There's many other ways to cut paper extremely precisely. You could do a print and cut on your Silhouette Cameo and problem solved, but it's just not thick enough for my taste. Okay, so what are we going to do here? I'm going to stick this on here, and as you can see, I don't have to be precise. I am going to make sure that at least one edge is lined up. I'm going to drive myself crazy if I try to pick out what I want to cut out on the back. Just find some paper that you love and go with it. See, you can tell it's not even straight on there, and it just doesn't matter. I'll show you why. I don't want to cut off any of the sticker because that's my guide. If I don't get this cut straight, then it's not going to align on my die correctly. This is time intensive. It's not a cheaper way to go than ordering business cards, but it is a cheaper way to go if you're going to keep changing what your business card says, right? You can see that it's not perfectly aligned here, and that doesn't really matter. All that matters is that I've got the exact 3x4 on the front, because this is bleed, or whatever you want to call it. This is not part of the card. It's going to get cut out. So now what I'm going to do is align this exactly on here. Look how beautiful and thick that is. Now we got 3 layers of paper. And all I did was use glue stick on this side and sticker paper on this side. If you do it with a laser printer, it's even going to be nicer and sharper. So now I've got it exactly aligned here. So I'm going to put this through. That sticker paper isn't cheap, so you can use like Post-it note or even tape, because this is overhang. You can stick it down if you want, just to make sure it doesn't shift. Now let's put it on here. God, I hope this worked because I'm getting tired of this topic. Okay, check this out. This is really almost overkill. There is my beautiful business card. Oh, look how thick that is. This is 0.8 thick, which is really very thick. It's like credit card thick. I think that's beautiful. If I wanted to, I could darken the edges either with a Sharpie. So you could take a Sharpie and do the edge, or even easier, you could take an ink pad and just slide it across there. I think that looks neat. Just rub it along the edge. I think that's really nice. In the right setting, I would be proud to hand that out. I have contacted Sizzix about getting a custom die made. I asked them for a quote on getting a clear die like this made in a business card size with just one cut in the center. It's $100 normally, but they're having a 30% off sale, so it'd be $65 for one die. And I probably would have jumped on that, except now I've come up with this solution, and I've gotten some business cards that I really love from Vistaprint. And so I'm not all that motivated to do it now. I can't believe no one's made this already. It just seems like such a no-brainer. Anyway, I feel like the minute I pay $100 for one, then they'll start mass producing them, and they'll be at Michael's for 20 bucks. I was going to include the screen capture of how I laid this out, and if you would like to see that, let me know and I will make a video about that, but it just was going to turn this into a 50-minute video and nobody will watch that. So thanks for watching, and be sure and click on that little I button and see my other related videos. And don't forget to subscribe to see what I'm up to next.